We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our ever-growing channel. Smash the like button. If you like our content, share the video with your family and friends. If you want to support this show through a super chat donation, hit the $, put in a comment, and we'll get to it as fast as we can. Welcome into the studio that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway in Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to be a legend with your comments in the chat room and with your phone calls later in the show. Very interesting show tonight. The information that we are going to be able to deliver to you tonight is information we received on January 7th. Today is January 9th. What is interesting, this is from the Florida State Money Perch. I'm going to get into the Florida State Money Perch in a second. What is interesting about one of 4 or 5 items that the Florida State Money Perch was able to give us, one of them is making its rounds on Twitter today a little bit. I don't know where that's coming from, but it is what the Florida State Money Perch told us on January 7th. Something Well, it's the title. It's up on the screen here. I'll show it one more time. Who approved ACC's lawsuit versus Florida State? Who approved it? Did it need to be approved? Did the ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips have the authority to move that quickly in suing the Florida State's Board of Trustees? We're going to get into that in a little bit here. I got to set the table, though. I have to set the table. First of all, congratulations. Congratulations to the Michigan Wolverines becoming the national champions. We did a watch party last night. It was our second biggest watch party we've ever done here at Peek Around the Corner. We had lots of fun. By the end of it, I had to sing Hail to the Victor one more time. It was a pretty terrible rendition of it, but we got through it. Congratulations to the Michigan Wolverines. 34-13 was the score against Washington. And one more thing, Greg the Heater is still alive. I was 3-0 against the spread during the playoffs. So the next week 0 doesn't happen for many months down the road. So I'm going to be Greg the Heater, technically. Greg the Heater for many months until I go about 0-5, 0-6 against the spread in week 0. But we're not going to worry about that right now. Okay, let me thank the people who've come into the chat early. Hagen is first. Hagen is first. D5 Terps, go Terps. Jonathan Weaver is in the house. Marcus Wood, snow sucks. I agree with you, Marcus Wood. He's in the house. Expedition Greg, early peak member. Hi, everyone. Steve T-Duck, hit that like button. Smash the like button. Early peak member Richard L's in the house. Mr. Colorado Buffalo. First, and one other thing. And I'll mention this again later in the show. There is a new level of membership. It's $4.99 early peak cloak and dagger membership. So for those who have been members at the $5.99 level, when you can, go ahead and drop down to the $4.99 level. In this case, at the $4.99 level, the people have been asking, they want to provide gift memberships. So if you get down to if you become a member, $4.99 a month member, you have the option to provide early peak memberships, gift memberships to everybody else. Hit the join button. College football's early peak cloak and dagger. This is where we give a little bit of information from time to time for members only. It's an additional content. We've taken nothing away in 2024. Interested? Hit the join button. If you're interested, hit the join button. For members who have been members for a couple months, just go ahead. When you can do it, drop down a level, $4.99, and we'll get rid of that $5.99 membership in due time. Okay. Nicholas says, don't worry, it's a terrible song. Well, I made it into a terrible song, but I had to sing it. Tumasta is in the house. Coy is in the house. General Chaos. Judkins is coming. Yes, he is. Quinchon Judkins. Tremendous true freshman season. Had a tremendous true freshman season. Last year, it was a great year, but went down a little bit in productivity. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens next year as he becomes a Buckeye. Mr. Monkeys is also in the house. Mr. Monkey says, Gary is in the house. Appreciate it. Nick Kelso. Boom! Money Perch update. Yes, we've got it. We have got it. And we'll get to it here in a second. We need to set up the stage. Anthony Carlson is in the house. Jim Reese is in the house. Okay. Let's get to it. We have a Florida State Money Perch update. Right before we get to that, we're just going to hit the, we put out a second episode today, episode 356. The little bit of information that Matt Baker was able to give us all on the Tampa Bay Times. More information between Florida State versus ACC. It's a very small article. We're just going to hit upon that, setting the table. The Florida State Money Perch, for those who do not know, because we're getting new members all the time, Florida State Money Perch, one of the people who have an investment into the Florida State Athletic Program, he contacted us December 5th, 2022. December 12th, December 19th, December 26th, we reported it. December 26, 2022, and throughout the whole year of 2023, that Florida State was going to have a declaration, not a notice of withdrawal, but a declaration sometime in the first quarter of 2024. We were wrong. We took the L. We were 12 days away. It happened 9 days away, whatever. It happened December 22nd, 2023. And it was sped up because of the college football playoffs. No, but we were still 9 days off. But the Florida State Money Perch has been deadly accurate. The Holy Smokes Theater, he's part of the reason why we believe that we have given you the best peek around the corner there is in the business. Just like we did with Colorado, just like we did with Washington and Oregon, just like we did with USC, March 31st, 2022 at Flag Empire. We've got more information. Some of it confirming, some of it we're gonna let you know what Florida State's perception is at this time. Or more accurately, just so I don't get anybody upset out there, we're going to give you the perception of a Florida State Money Perch perception of what Florida State is thinking. But I got to tell you, just like Arizona State Money Perch, our source is there, our Colorado source, and other national sources. This Florida State Money Perch, dead on so far. So I think you should listen to what he is saying tonight, or this was 2 days ago. This is January 7th. We're going to let it fly here on January 9th. Put down your comments. You can disagree with them. You can disagree with PATC. But I'm letting you know, this guy, you've seen the track record. You've seen it. You've seen it play out. And we're going to put this out there because it also helps you connect the dots. When you see other reports, other information, I think we're starting to learn more and more. Let's get to, first of all, let me thank Coy so very much. Early peak member, new membership. You are therefore, Coy, you are cloak and dagger knighted. Thank you so much, Coy, for being a new member. Early peak member, cloak and dagger member. There's a new level of membership, $4.99. Now, at the $4.99 level, you can put out gift memberships for other people to collect while they're in the chat. We're going to get rid of that $5.99 in a while. So for people who are on the $5.99 level, get down to $4.99. Even if you don't offer ever gift membership, We're lowering the price. Get down to the $4.99 level. Thank you, Coy, so very much for your generosity in becoming an early peak cloak and dagger. Let's get to Flugs for president. Nobody would vote for me. That's the problem with that. I'm eligible according to the U.S. Constitution, but nobody would vote for me. Okay, this we're setting the table, ladies and gentlemen. We have new people coming in all the time. We just gotta, I don't want to go back too far, but we gotta just set the table here. This is from the Tampa Bay Times today. Matt Baker. We put it out in episode 356. The latest on Florida State ACC's dueling lawsuits. Florida State was served the ACC's complaint minutes after the Seminoles approved their own case against the league. Florida State was served ACC's complaint minutes after the Seminoles approved their own case against the league. The dueling lawsuits between Florida State and the ACC are playing out in the courts. Florida State's University Board of Trustees versus the Atlantic Coast Conference. And what we have is the Atlantic Coast Conference versus the Board of Trustees of Florida State University. This is the latest update by Matt Baker, Tampa Bay Times. The ACC served Florida State its complaint within minutes of the school approving its own case against the conference, according to newly public North Carolina court records. Now, we all knew, all of us knew, and they're going to hit upon it later in this article, we all knew that the ACC filed their lawsuit in North Carolina against the Florida State Board of Trustees a day before Florida State filed their lawsuit against the ACC on December 22nd in Leon County. But what we did not know is that ACC served Florida State its complaints within minutes of the school approving its own case against the conference. Now, okay, let's get through the article. I'm going to give you my thoughts. I'm going to hear your thoughts with your comments and with your phone calls later in the show. A Tallahassee official gave a copy of the ACC suit to Florida State's Vice President of Legal Affairs and General Counsel, Carolyn Agan, at 10:59 a.m. on December 22nd. That's about 6 minutes after Florida State's Emergency Board of Trustees meeting ended. 6 minutes after the Board of Trustees meeting ended. And then less than 20 minutes after, where the trustees unanimously approved its own case. And then we know what happened. The Board of Trustees filed a suit, Leon County, against the ACC. Those details come from an ACC legal filing dated Friday and processed by the court system this week. Florida State's suit was submitted at 11:26 that morning, December 26th. December 22nd. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Florida State's suit was submitted at 11:26, December 22nd, according to Leon County court records. The ACC filed its case the day before, and we knew that. Okay? The ACC also served copies of the suit to Jack Campbell, the state attorney of the Tallahassee area, on December 27th, and to the state attorney, Ashley Moody, on January 3rd. A day later, Moody sent her own request to the ACC asking for financial business membership records related to Florida State, along with some of the ACC's communications and contracts with ESPN. Okay, so does it push the story really any further? No, not really, but it's still any information, any what we call dot of information, any data, anything. We're going to use it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to analyze it. And if other things drop in, look, and some of this, we're going to go with the Florida State Money Perch update here in another couple minutes. And I said this on episode 356. Look, the ACC was prepared for this. They were prepared. They knew what was going to happen. Their complaint, basically, where it was in line with what Florida State said. I mean, Florida State Board of Trustees did not pull a bait and switch. ACC seemed to be pretty confident. They knew what was going to happen. They had that lawsuit all ready to go. They put it in the day before Florida State did with Leon County. So ACC was prepared. Florida State is prepared. There's more than two parties prepared. I know, look, I'm the only one that is pounding the table on this. January 7th, we got more confirmation from the Florida State Money Perch. He's not the Clemson Money Perch. I'm going to stop there. But his track record and who they're talking to, it's not just two parties that have done all the work here. Clemson has done all the work here. The question is, do they pull the trigger? Well, according to the Florida State Money Perch, once again, the answer is yes. Florida State is perceiving. Let me back up. Let me be accurate so people out there don't rake me over the coals, because they rake me over the coals, and then when we're accurate, they forget about how they raked us over the coals. This is Florida State's, the people he's talked to, their perception on what Florida State's perception is, but they kind of know. They really kind of know, okay? This is, take it however you want it, ladies and gentlemen. You can take it however you want it. This is Florida State's perception of where we are right now. I got a bunch of notes here. I'm going to try to give you a peek without hurting anybody, okay? Without stepping on anybody's toes, getting anybody in trouble. First of all, in this, we're going to start with this point. And boy, I have seen two comments on Twitter asking this question today. And I didn't say nothing. I just looked at it and said, wow. Either I think something is leaking out of Florida State right now. We were told January 7th, and now I'm seeing it a little bit. And anyways, I don't think it's on. I haven't checked. I don't know what's out there. But going back to the screen of this show, who approved ACC's lawsuit versus Florida State? Who approved it? How was it approved? What was the process? January 7th. Now, we got, I should say, I believe we got the information January 6th, but I didn't get it until January 7th. Okay? Florida State wants to know how the ACC internal process in coming up with this lawsuit a day before Florida State did it in Leon County. Florida State, transparent. Florida State, public university. They have their rules, right? They have to have an open forum. They have to talk about it, all that stuff. They followed what they needed to do. Did ACC do the same thing? We don't have an answer. This is one of the reasons, this is the biggest, this is the only reason that we hung on to this for 2 days. Florida State wants to know. So, and I think this is about to leak out. I think it's leaked out already. I don't think, well, people are starting to ask this question. And we've been sitting here for 2 days. I think we received it 3 days ago. Florida State wants to know. Remember, Florida State did not do a notice of withdrawal. We are not a lawyer. I am not a lawyer, okay? Although some people in BTM's associates are lawyers. But I am not a lawyer. I don't know what the guardrails are for the ACC commissioner. He can do a lot of things once a university has declared their notice of withdrawal. Florida State did not do it. They did not do that. They did not give a heads up to all the university presidents in the ACC. So Florida State would want to know by what authority did the ACC prepare this and then did a lawsuit against Florida State's Board of Trustees. Florida State, imagine if the ACC, if it wasn't Florida State, imagine if the ACC filed a lawsuit against Clemson. Let's say Clemson went out there first. Would Florida State, would they have been in the dark for the last few months as the ACC prepares this lawsuit against Clemson? Florida State wants to know the internal process. Florida State wants to know who knew. Florida State wants to know if the co-chairman of the ACC, the president of Virginia, did he know? Did he know? This is a big issue that Florida State sounds like they're looking at pursuing. Just, again, this is a game of leverage. Create some leverage. Did ACC have the authority to... Was there a vote among the schools? Obviously there wasn't, right? Right? Or is it written that Phillips, the commissioner, has the authority to do this even though there was not a notice of withdrawal? That's one big update from the Florida State Money Perch. Number 2, Florida State's perception is this is not, and I was on Moen After Dark show. When was I on Moen's After Dark show? That was Sunday, correct? Sunday. Is Immaculate in the house? I don't know. Is Immaculate in the house? Maybe not. Sunday. Okay. Thank you. So this is after we received this information. I was doing a little hemming and hawing on Immaculate's show. I talked a little bit with Immaculate and Moen prior to the show going live, Florida State's perception is the ACC's not going to go on mediation anytime soon. This is going to be, ACC's not going to capitulate. First, they're going to find out who's going to win home field advantage. If anybody does, go to federal court. Yes, they believe, Florida State, that this is going to get somewhat into a courtroom before, and then you're going to see the lay of the land and how it all, where the winds are blowing, determining who has the advantage here. Florida State, according to the Money Perch, and of course, look, you can disagree, that's fine. There's probably reporters out there disagreeing. I'm okay with that. I'm just telling you. This guy you've seen the track record he's put out. So this is going to be, at least for now, what we would call a protracted war. We don't see a quick finish here. ACC has done too much work. They prepared this. Florida State has prepared this. And there's another school that has prepared this for this, and that's Clemson. Let's get to Clemson. And we also talked about this on Mowing After Dark show with the Immaculate a little bit, I believe. Again, I am not a lawyer. You guys all know this. I'm the host of this show. The host of this show's elevator doesn't go all the way to the top. But what I am is, I'm not a lawyer, but what I would call this show, what I would call myself, is a YouTuber investigator of college football. We spend way more work off the camera than we do in front of the camera. Way more work. You see, I don't put a whole lot of work into how we present this channel, but I put a lot of work in the information that we give you. And I think you've noticed. Florida State, whatever the results are at the end of the day, and Florida State is optimistic. But again, it isn't going to be like pass, go, and collect 200 in the game of Monopoly. Florida State's doing all this work, risking all of this in the court, spending $1 million on a lawyer. They get a settlement. They get something that they can work with. Now, whatever deal they get with the ACC, and they can get, if things go in their way when it comes to the courts, home field advantage, whatever, and there's a number there that they can work with, they go back to the Big Ten and the SEC. Now they can talk pretty much behind closed doors, but they can talk to them because they found themselves to be able to get released from the ACC gore. No more third-party talks. We're talking first-party talks. And the Florida State gets something that works for them, and they announce their notice of withdrawal, be it officially August 15th of this year or backtrack to August 15th of next year, whatever. It isn't like North Carolina, Clemson, Miami, and other possible schools can just walk up to the bar and say, order me the same drink that Florida State just received. Florida State's we're talking Florida State perception here. We're talking Florida State's perception. We're not talking ESPN's, Yahoo Sports, Action Network, all the great lawyers that everyone's putting on their programs. We're talking about Florida State and Money Perch. Who was the one that was 9 days away from being dead on something that we reported 1 year previous, and we were reporting the same thing for 12 months. Florida State's perception is the other possible schools, even if everything goes pretty good for Florida State, it's not pass, go, collect $200, leapfrog over half the monopoly board, pick up your earnings, pick up your release from the grant of rights, just sign a check over to the ACC. Florida State's own perception is that is not how it's going to happen. Because of that, and because of other things that we can't get into right here, right now, tonight, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day, but Florida State's perception is Clemson is still going to come around the corner, around the bend, and deliver a lawsuit to the ACC. This is what Florida State's perception is. Because it does Clemson so much better to do so than to sit back. It does so much better for Clemson to do so to get themselves available than to wait after the conclusion of the Florida State battle. It wouldn't cost. This is not a high risk adventure. It is, but it's not to the point. The risk that is put out there, it does not equal. It is a shallow valley compared to the benefits that you can get at the end of the day by going through this process. There is no advantage. There is no advantage. None. Zero. We got a whole bunch of notes on this. I gotta be careful because there's language in here that could be the common language of what this person or these people use. Got to be careful here. So I'm using my lingo. There is no advantage for Clemson to wait. There may be one advantage. To save a handful of $1 million with lawyer fees if Florida State is unsuccessful. But in the large scheme of things, that's nothing. I know that sounds terrible when I say that, but it's nothing. Clemson they do not have a North Carolina State hang up. They don't have a Virginia Tech hang up. They don't have a Miami University president who is going to be real conservative on this, and he is. They don't have any of that. If they go through this process and they get a settlement, Clemson that is, they get a settlement with the ACC, and it's a number, and then they go back to the Big Ten and the SEC, and things don't work out for Clemson, and they might look at the Big 12, whatever. Let's say they don't even write the check to the ACC. Let's say they don't have to make that final deal with a private equity firm. Whatever that is, still it would be worth it to Clemson to give themselves the opportunity. There's a couple things that we got to keep. There's a couple things. A lot of this gets retried over and over again. There's a couple things that you've got to get your head around on this. Number one, realignment. There's a bunch of rules to it, right? Realignment never sleeps. Realignment starts with the school calling the conference first, not the conference calling the school first. Realignment has to do with dominoes. The biggest domino falls first. Realignment has to do with relationships. Realignment also has to do with availability. Pac-12 schools were available. They were available. ACCs were perceived, and they weren't not available. Availability is a lot to this. Conferences, like when they do this, the big massive moves, they like to know, they like to have some, they like to be standing on solid ground. Clemson going through the process, being ready. If Florida State kicks the doors open first and Clemson's not far behind, Clemson gives the SEC and the Big Ten solid ground to possibly work something out. And then another point of this, and this is going to come out. I mean, it already has come out. It already has come out. It's been reported on. It's been reported on. But it's going to be part of the story. Clemson has done a whole lot of work. They're the ones that have done all this work. And they've done all this work, and they've kept working on it. They've kept working on it. They have. Why wouldn't they pull the trigger? To make sure they don't lose a hand, $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10 million in lawyer fees when the benefits are so much greater? You saying that Clemson is going to be shy at pulling the trigger? Florida State believes that Clemson's pulling the trigger. We have overwhelmingly gotten the information that Clemson, everyone expects Clemson to pull the trigger. I know there's no articles out on that right now. I get it. No one else is talking about it. But again, we're college football's peek around the corner. We have a Florida State Money Perch who is dead on, 9 days off, dead on the Florida State declaration. Florida State Money Perch who talked to Clemson, Money Perch. There is no reason why Clemson wouldn't do it. They knew the arguments that Florida State was going to use. Clemson's going to use the same arguments. They might throw in a couple extra. They might not have this the government, the state of South Carolina's support, but they might not quite stir up the interest in regards to third-party talks with the SEC and the Big Ten like Florida State has. But there is no reason for them not to pull the trigger. And you say, when, Greg? When? Well, we were told a couple of months ago, it's about 3 months from now, 3 months ago, we said January 20th to February 6th, last couple of weeks of January, first week of February. Florida State moved up their timeline. They moved up their timeline that the Florida State Money Perch got dead right. And then we were off 9 days because they moved up their timeline. I don't know, guys. I think we're going to be we're going to be getting some big news here real soon. The way that now, look, we could be sitting on where the Florida State Money Perch told us some information and he was right. They were right. They weren't only right, first of all, about the declaration of what Florida State was going to do. And they said that it wasn't going to be a notice of withdrawal. It lined up beautifully. But they also said on December 26, 2022, we did a live show on it. We said that the Florida State was about to say something in 2 months. And they did on February 24th. So this guy's information has been more than fantastic. And the information that they're getting from Clemson, the Florida State's perception is Clemson is going to follow up. Because why wouldn't they? Give a reason why they wouldn't. They have more reasons than that. But give a reason why Clemson wouldn't. Is it because Clemson would be afraid of what the ACC schools said about them and all that? Clemson, they were pretty vocal. They voted no on the SMU, Stanford, California expansion. So I wanted to put that out once again. Florida State, new information. They're going to want to know, what process did the ACC use in filing this lawsuit? Florida State, what was it? Because Florida State did not file a notice of withdrawal. What made Phillips have the authority to do this, to act so quickly, to act the day before Florida State did, to have file a complaint handed over to Florida State's representatives 6 minutes after the meeting was finished? Does Phillips have that authority? Florida State wants to look at it. They want to look at it. Is this a game that Florida State is playing? Are they throwing elbows? Are they trying to gain leverage? Are they trying to gain doubt in ACC's mind? Could be. Could be. But that is something that Florida State is going to pursue. And Florida State's perception is, this is not going to be a quick mediation. ACC is not going to capitulate anytime soon. They're going to wait to see. This is probably, it ain't going to happen anytime soon. Florida State Money Perch. And Florida State Money Perch said, this isn't going to be like a pass-go, collect $200. All the work Florida State's doing, all the work they're doing in the courts, if they do get to a settlement, if they do get to a final result, the other schools can't just belly up to the bar and say, I'll have what Florida State is having. They're going to have to go through the same process. And we're about timing here. Clemson, look, Colorado, now this is not from Florida State. This is from me. Peek around the corner. This is from our Colorado story that we were dead nuts on the whole time. We said one of the reasons why Colorado was going to be the tip of the spear, why they were on the stage alone, at the center of the stage alone the whole time, is because Colorado being first increased their value to the Big 12. For them to be first, they increased their value to the Big 12. For Clemson to be second, out of the chute, they increased their value to the SEC and or the Big Ten. So why wouldn't they do it? We believe they are. Okay, so look, and then we'll get to your comments on that. And then, of course, I just want to touch upon it one more time. Look, I have poked and prodded on this story today. I've asked. One of the answers I got back is, this is ESPN talking about ESPN. Let's see if there's other people going to report on it. Sports Business Journal reported on it, but they basically mimicked what ESPN said. ESPN is in the midst of negotiations to maintain network as the sole rights holder of the playoffs for the next 8 years. I was told that this $1.3 billion in this report doesn't really mean much at all. This is not to pay attention to that. The big part of the story is sole rights holder. Next 8 years. So 2025, 2024, 2025, but then with 6 more years. 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. That's a long time. That is a long, long time. And I have no idea. There's a lot of theories out there. You can talk about in the chat. You can give us a phone call. We're going to open up the phone lines here pretty soon. You can delve into it. Why is this? Is there some sort of deal between Fox and ESPN? We don't think so. It's not how it works. We don't think there's some grand scheme where ESPN gets the sole rights, but then of the college football playoffs, but then ESPN has agreed with Fox to implode, for ESPN to help implode the ACC. That's just not how things work. ESPN and Fox, they only coordinate when they really have to. At the end of the Big 12, Oklahoma and Texas, we don't believe that's going on. So why? Did Fox Sports just drop out of contention? Or is this just a ESPN elevating their positioning at the bargaining table? That could be, but the problem with that theory is Bill Hancock said himself. I have to say, this is Bill Hancock. I have to say, this is a negotiation. And so I'm not going to be able to tell you much about it, Hancock said. We're happy with where we are and not quite to the finish line yet. So, I don't know. He's not denying it. I'm pretty scared about it. We should be past the days. A 12-team expanded playoff, 11 playoff games. We, as the college football, the lovers of college football, should be well past the period of one media company holding all the rights. If this is the final outcome, this is dismal. This is terrible. The main reason why the Big Ten, the only reason why the Big Ten got into that short, fake alliance with the ACC and the Pac-12, the only reason, it was to deny ESPN the ability to not have to be the sole rights holder of many years after 2026. That was the reason why the Big Ten. They weren't going to gain anything being in alliance with the ACC and the Pac-12. We all knew it. We all said it. But this was the reason. To have a voting block. To be able to make sure ESPN. What happened? Okay, I get it. Big Ten bludgeoned the Pac-12. ACC might be minutes away from getting bludgeoned. Maybe the ACC said to ESPN, or said to the college football player, maybe all the schools said, yeah, we'll have ESPN as the sole rights holder, and then maybe ESPN won't decline their media rights in 2027. I don't know. But what happened? 10 commissioners and Jack Swarbrick were all in agreement. Multiple media companies were going to distribute the playoff content 2026 and beyond. That was part of the gold rush. You were going to have multiple bidders. People were going to come in. Don't know what happened. Do not know what happened. And I hope this is not the result. I hope it's not. Okay, let me get to your comments, your phone calls. You can talk about anything you want in college football. The championship game last night, we had a live watch party. It was fantastic. People were crazy. A lot of back and forth. King Spleen. Look, ESPN may not extend the contract with the ACC beyond 27 with these suits pending. They want to know what properties are, which they'll be investing in. This may aid Florida State in their argument. No way the negotiations go to no bid. And they're out of the exclusive window. So I don't know, man. I don't know, Nathan. I don't know. Did Fox Sports just... We had reports 3 or 4 days ago that they were prepping for a massive bid. That was the language used in the reports. Prepping for a massive bid. Fox, Front Office Sports, some other media outlet, same story. What happened? What happened to NBC? What happened to Amazon? We don't know. The only response we got today from our poking and our prodded was this could be ESPN just elevating ESPN's position. But the person we talked to obviously doesn't work for ESPN, did not know that this was what is happening. Like, everybody was gobsmacked, if that's the correct word to use, gobsmacked when that report came out from Pete Thamel and Heather Dinich. Okay, I'm going to open up the phone lines. I'm going to get caught up with your comments. The phone lines are now open. 763-260-1333, 763-260-1333. Florida State Money Perch update. ESPN could be the sole rights provider. Michigan, the national champion. People are coming out with their way too early top 25. We're going to do that as well. We already did our way too early 12-team playoffs, and we're already going to make changes. I had SMU as my dark horse surprise team to be in next year's playoffs. We have canceled that. So we're looking for a different dark horse team to be in the 12-team playoffs. Hey, Greg, the Big East negotiating window opens February 1st. UConn should be interesting. It should be interesting. And Gonzaga, that part of it could be interesting. Thanks for the update, Justin Lucas. Appreciate that very much. Very much. Jamie Thornton, the SEC wants to expand its footprint and wants North Carolina and Virginia. That's more valuable to them. The SEC has never had FSU in Miami. They are fine with Florida. That's from Jamie Thornton. Go Black 45. Greg, just accept your overlords, SEC, and everything will be fine. Join us. No strings attached. Go Black 45. No strings attached. No Big Ten strings. No SEC strings. We are the rebel outpost of all college football YouTube channels. Jamie Thornton. Greg, my wife is still sick over last night. She needs a shout out, Greg, to get her feeling better. I told her Huskies had a great year. Shout out to Jamie Thornton's wife. I forget what her name is. Sorry about that. Shout out to you. Washington had fantastic year. Fun, exciting, profitable. Their brand has expanded even larger. Washington's going into the Big Ten. Going to be seen across the country. People in Piscataway, New Jersey are going to be looking up Washington scores. It's big for Washington. A huge research university. Huge. Michigan level. Just below Michigan or maybe at Michigan level. Whatever. Washington, big time research university in the second biggest research conference behind the Ivy League, of course. But yes, Big Ten, Washington. Great time for Washington. Great time to be a Husky. I hope that makes her feel better. TH3. Think Gonzaga would be short-sighted addition for the Big 12. Gonzaga will fall off once Mark Few retires. I think Creighton adds more long-term than the Zags do for basketball. Again, if you're new to the show or if you haven't done so, please subscribe, hit the subscribe button, and get yourself notified. We can come up live at any time. Anytime we can come up live. We could come up live again at 9 o'clock tonight, 10 o'clock, at 11, if there's breaking news. So make sure when you subscribe to our channel, make sure you get yourself notified. And please smash the like button if you like our content. If you want to support the show through a Super Chat donation, hit that $sign where you make a comment, post it, and we'll get to it as fast as possible. Thank you all for coming in this Tuesday, late afternoon, early evening, depending where you are in the country. We also have viewership from Canada, Mexico, Sweden, Switzerland, New Zealand. We got a call from New Zealand about a month ago. Greg, do you have the Gophers at 13? What do you mean? In the Big Ten next year? Is that your question? I haven't done it. I haven't done any conference rankings. We're going to be doing that all here in the winter, in the spring. 13 might be a little high. I don't know, man. I don't know. Who's going to be the quarterback? Who's going to be the backup quarterback, Tony? It sounds like we might be going after Reese Mooney. Gophers' backup quarterback next year might be Reese Mooney, who is the backup quarterback at Liberty Flames. He's in the portal. I think we're talking with them. I don't know. We better hope that Max Brosmere is good, and we better hope he doesn't get injured. Else we are in a lot of trouble. Gary, could this story be employed by the college football playoffs to let Fox, NBC, Amazon, etc.? We want to see who's interested and for how much. I thought about it, but I don't think so. I don't think so because this is from ESPN. Right? This is a story that ESPN put out about ESPN in the midst of negotiations to be the sole rights holder. ESPN would want all the inventory for 8 years at the lowest price possible. Right? So they would not want to advertise, hey, we're going to get it for this much. You better come on in. This isn't like, this information is not coming out of the College Football Playoff Committee's website saying ESPN is about to get the sole rights and then giving a heads up to everybody else, you better come on in. This is ESPN reporting on ESPN. And the Sports Business Journal did not knock it down. John Oron and Andrew Michon did not knock this report down. I don't think that's what's going on, Gary. But I don't know what's going on. I mean, good grief. This is not what we expected. I'm going to be very disappointed. I'm going to be very disappointed if this is the end result. But why would ESPN say, here's the bar? Somebody give me a call, 763-260-1333. Why would ESPN say, here's the bar? ESPN wants the content. They're probably willing to go up to a certain amount of money. Why advertise this is what we're willing to do and let other people jump over the top of them? Steven, why go for the lowest price when you can drive up the price in negotiation? Yeah, for the playoff managers, those who are representing the 10, the 9 FBS commissioners, conferences, and Notre Dame. But ESPN doesn't want to drive up the price.
Call from
JD.
JD, Mr. Seminole, the floor is yours. How you doing, sir?
Been a tough day, sir, but everything's okay. Everything's okay. How about you?
Doing good. Doing good. I expect a busy week. It's Tuesday. It was busy today. Yeah, we dropped some information. Florida State Money Perch, what he believes, what Florida State's perception is right now, what's going on. They want to know how the ACC, Phillips got the authority to do what he did. Now, maybe they have they just want to see it because Florida State would have wanted to know if ACC was suing another school in the conference. They believe that Clemson is coming around the table, coming around the corner. They're going to do it here pretty soon. And they believe that whatever Florida State accomplishes, that another school is not going to be able to just pass go and collect $200 or belly up to the bar and say to the bartender, I want what Florida State's having. There's going to be a lot of work that other schools are going to have to do to get where Florida State is going to be months from now. Therefore, there's more incentive for Clemson to join the party. This is Florida State's perception according to our Florida State Money Perch. What do you think, JD? Floor is yours.
On that issue, there's so many. Well, the landscape on the legal landscape is going to change by the week when we get little stories here or there. I would be curious to know if like it's been suggested that Phillips has been acting outside of his authority, because I understand the ACC wanting to be preemptive, but does he have the authority to do the things that he's doing?
Yeah.
Did he have the authority to move the deadline for ESPN? Does he have the authority to do all the things that he's doing? And I understand they wanted to keep it secret. The ACC added their legal counsel this past spring, summer, in-house counsel this past spring or summer, because up to then I don't think they had one. So they were prepared for the fight then. So we kind of get an idea. I think she was added, April, May, somewhere around there. So, you kind of knew that they were prepared for the fight all the way back then. But yeah, I mean, I have my opinions on things, but we don't even fully know what's what yet. We need Clemson to make their move, and then, like I said, it would really be devastating to the ACC if their bell cow institution UNC goes ahead and makes a move. I don't know. I think have you heard anything on UNC's? Well, you already told me what's going on there.
No,
you already told us what's going on there.
Yeah. Now, what today's now? Just keep in mind though. Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. I just want to check something. I don't want to give out bad information. I apologize. I'm going to give you back the floor here in a second, JD. Okay.
Well, no, you can give out that information. It's okay. I'm sure everybody won't mind.
Okay. So, yeah. So Lee Roberts the new interim chancellor begins officially on January 12th. So that is Friday, correct? So Friday we get a new chancellor. Now we'll see if he's got a lot on his plate, whatever. But we'll see if North Carolina, at least communicates a little bit more aggressively about this. But we'll see. I mean, this was going to be a dead period for North Carolina. There is still a rock fight going on. But Lee Roberts is the new interim chancellor on January 12th, this Friday.
Is he being brought in to be like the point man for this whole thing, and then once the dust settles, even sometimes institutions or companies will bring in somebody to steer them into a new endeavor.
Okay.
And once they've achieved that, they step aside and somebody else steps in the role. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm going to push the envelope on this just a little bit here.
Okay.
I actually have a nephew who is it's a doctorate at UNC Chapel Hill, knows the players, brilliant person, absolutely brilliant. Nothing like his Uncle Greg, okay? Complete opposite. Red hair, not black hair, whatever. Okay. So, professor and everything. This what's going on at North Carolina is way bigger than possible realignment stuff. It's huge. Ask any, if you, whatever. So, Lee Roberts is the point man for a lot of future decisions for North Carolina. But one of those things is advantage SEC when it comes to realignment. But that's just part of the big story at North Carolina. And I got to say this, according to him, and the anticipation is that Lee Roberts becomes the permanent chancellor, not just the interim. Okay. So keep that in your mind as well.
I got you. Well, I want to steer back to the college football playoff, and I know that might be a surprise because, I usually talk all things Seminoles. But there was an article circulating on the message boards, it's almost a year ago now, that ESPN had a desire to become the hub of all broadcast sports in all for all networks. More or less, they want to be the hub for broadcast sports.
Yeah.
Working with other networks, allowing other networks to share in broadcasting different sports and so on, that basically ESPN wants to be the infrastructure. And my question is, does Fox have the infrastructure to broadcast all of these semifinal games or college football playoff games? Maybe it's a wink and a nod that Fox is okay with ESPN becoming the primary or the sole what was the word? The
sole rights holder.
Rights holder. That's right. With an understanding that they're going to lease out certain platforms to other networks. Maybe that's why the amount is so low. That if ESPN is the hub, okay, but they're going to lease out this tier and this tier to the other networks, it solves a lot of things for each entity. NBC has NBC and then Peacock. They don't have as many, and you could tell me if I'm wrong, as many channels to broadcast all these games on. Now, that being said, all those games aren't going to be played at the same time. They're going to be played at different times. So you could only run it on a couple of networks. But, maybe there isn't a collaboration between the networks on the college football playoff. Maybe that's not what they initially wanted, but maybe there was some backroom deals that says, okay, it would be easier for us all to get involved with this, but you just use our infrastructure, and then, you lease or you pay for this tier, and everybody has a piece, and then ESPN is the hub, which is what they want, is what they wanted anyway. I agree with you on the conferences and so on. I don't think there's any collaboration between trying to divvy up teams, whether you're going to go to the SEC or you're going to go to the Big Ten or whatever. But I don't know. In some of these larger network broadcast rights discussions, there might be more collaboration in the future. I know ESPN wants to probably get more of a hand or more of a footprint into the NFL. They want to serve, like I said, and I'm being repetitive here, the infrastructure for all of these different sports and I guess broadcast opportunities. Anyway, I'm kind of rambling a little bit here, but that's my conspiracy theory of the night, that if Fox, as of 3 or 4 days ago, was gung-ho about broadcasting a lot of college football playoff games, and then next thing you know, ESPN is in negotiations, maybe it's not contradictory. Maybe there's something behind it.
That might be best case scenario if this report is accurate. I'm a little worried about it though, because it does say in the article, and I can find it here. Whoops, that's not it. Hancock said if ESPN were to sublicense any games, the presidents would have to approve it. Well, like the majority of presidents, I mean, is it unanimous? Is it? I don't know. In that ESPN being the hub, they were trying to build like a place where everybody can go to, like a depositor, where you can go into one spot and say, hey, this, if we hit this button, we get kicked into NBC. If we kick this button, we get into CBS. I believe that's what they were going for. I don't know, JD. You might be onto something, or you're on something. But either way, I appreciate the call, and that could be what's going on. If it is, I would feel a little bit better about the article, but I also would have hoped that if that's what's going on, that ESPN could have give us a little bit more of a hint that was going on. But that could be. I mean, that's not outlandish.
Well, I'm not saying that I think that's what it is. I'm saying that it seems like it's a possibility, being that there was an article just a few days ago, like you referenced, about Fox Sports wanting to broadcast more college football games, especially playoff games. And so, you just keep adding all these details together, and it's just like, well, there has to be something. There has to be something. But anyway, if I could ask for prayers for people in the Panhandle, I got hit by a tornado at 5:30 this morning.
Oh my goodness!
No, I'm good. I'm good. I just got a little bit of roof damage.
Okay.
Full force of it missed me by about 150 yards. But
wow.
Couple hundred yards from my house, I still don't have power. But like I said, I'm good. I'm healthy. Everything's fine. I've just got to fix my roof.
Okay.
Still don't have power, but there's there's several people less than a quarter of a mile from me that their life has been turned upside down. And
all right, prayers out, man.
Anyway, yeah, I appreciate it. Like I said, thanks so much, and y'all have a great day.
You got it.
Great
Thank
evening.
you, JD. Appreciate the phone call. Yeah, that's terrible. Terrible news. We the little general and I got hit by a tornado, not dead on, when we were living in Rogers, Minnesota. You can Google it. We got hit. That was a tornado we got hit.
Call from
Nitwit.
PSU, the floor is yours. But can you hold on 1 second?
Sure, Greg.
Pat Crow, thank you for the information from the ACC lawsuit. From the lawsuit, ACC is separate from its members for the purpose of enforcing rights, duties, and liabilities. That was also part of the communication that we had with the Florida State Money Perch. But they don't believe, because they did not file a notice of withdrawal, they're just anyways, Florida State still want, they know about what you just said, Pat Crow, within the ACC lawsuit, but they don't think that covers Jim Phillips' action, but we shall see. All right, but thank you for the comment, Pat Crow. PSU Nitwit, the floor is yours.
Hey, I haven't called in for a while, Greg. Happy New Year. I hope you and your family had a great holiday.
You too. You too. I appreciate it. By the way, not only prayers to JD in the Panhandle, Fort Lauderdale got hit a couple days, the tornadoes there, but also there's something big going on at the border of Ecuador and Peru right now. So there was a newscast in Ecuador. They were on the news people, reporters sitting in the chair doing a newscast, and a bunch of gunmen came in, overtook the news station and had people by guns, and now the Peru government's putting their military at the border. So anyways, prayers out to everybody.
I tell you what.
Yep, go ahead.
Prayers for everybody out there for sure. How about it? Just want to call in, looking at Penn State's, want to apologize to everybody, you and PATC community, just how disappointing Penn State season became. A little young. Hopefully we'll get better next year. And a great time about this season is we can just look forward to the next season. How about it, Greg?
Yeah. We get to, as a Gopher, I get to dream all over again. And then by the time the start of the season begins, my heart gets crushed once again. But yes, we're all going to recover.
I just wanted to call in and talk about this ACC conference.
Yeah.
And I remember way back when in July, you and I had looking at these as markets. Like we're talking eyeballs through networks and markets and what value these schools have. And it was real easy to look at the Pac-12 and understand that Arizona is more valuable in the Big 12. You know what I mean? It's real easy to step back in an economic lens and understand that Arizona playing Washington is less valuable than Arizona playing Texas Tech, right? Remember we had that conversation?
Yep.
It's really, I've been thinking about this for a while. It's hard to break down the ACC. I know everybody's talking about this inevitable breakup of the ACC, and I just don't if you go down the line and just look at it through a lens of market economic kind of background, I know you brought up Florida State in the Miami market. But then again, like, I don't see, where we're trying to put the puzzle. Like, I don't see North Carolina. I mean, does North Carolina and Florida, is that some big thing? Like, I don't, like, if they went to the SEC, I don't know what these moves, I mean, obviously Florida State because of their fan base, and maybe Miami with that market, what that adds to you. Because I know you kind of broke it down. There's not a coincidence that these moves happen, like Texas and Oklahoma, right?
Mm-hmm.
USC, UCLA, and then you had Washington. You can go through from a network economic perspective and understand why these moves are being made.
Yep.
I can't do that with the ACC. Like, I mean, North Carolina in the SEC, I mean, yeah, that would be great for North Carolina, but does it add that splash that when you're looking at those values, think about it. North Carolina, Florida, North Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina. I mean, does that give you the same excitement as if Florida State and Penn State, or Florida State and Ohio State? Do you understand what I mean?
Yep. The best way I can put it is every realignment wave should be looked at. They each have their own different flavor to it. For example, and I'll try to make this as quick as possible, okay? But Jim Delaney, he wanted the Big Ten to become a 2-region conference. He wanted it. He had made so many great moves in the Big Ten. He was a Big Ten commissioner for 25 years. He has collected all these political IOUs. Everybody loved him. He battled against the ESPN, right? He wanted a 2-region conference, period. End of story. He wasn't going to hear it. He was going to do it. And he wanted to satisfy Penn State as well. But he wanted to get the networks. He wanted it so bad. Virginia, North Carolina balked. So he took Rutgers and Maryland. And people talk about cable boxes, demographics, high population states, good universities. All that is correct. But the main driver was Jim Delaney wanted a 2-region conference. And he got it. Okay? He got it. And then, economics change. These court cases are changing everything. We went through the reasons why Texas and Oklahoma, US, blah, 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 blah. So now we're at this point. And you make a good comment. But this is the different flavor. There's a different flavor of this that I want you to keep your mind on, nitwit, when you're looking at it. This flavor, this wave is all about the long-term plan of the Big Ten. They have always wanted, they have always insisted. There are big old universities in the Big Ten that want to go to the southeastern part of the United States. Not just about getting the demographics, the great student athletes in the Southeast, but the students in the Southeast. They want some of those markets in the Southeast. Fox Sports wants those markets in the Southeast. Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, they're calling the shots on this. They want it in the Southeast. This is always, we told everybody, we reported over and over again, the Big Ten was going to go west again before they go east, but they are going east. They grabbed Oregon and Washington. They're going east. That's one part of it. The other part of it is the SEC playing defense. How much? They know that the Big Ten wants to get in there. They know Fox Sports wants to get in there. So now the SEC, it isn't so much what can North Carolina do for us, for the SEC. It's what, baby, we better grab North Carolina, get all that new footprint, because we can't have Big Ten getting that. That is what's happening. Big Ten offense versus SEC playing defense. The Joneses are looking at each other. If one builds another big a layer of their house, the other one wants to. It's called trying to get the biggest slice of the market. All that is playing into it. But this is Big Ten playing offense. SEC has the ability to play defense. That's what's driving this. That's what makes North Carolina a valuable piece of the SEC, because they can't have the Big Ten grabbing another 4 schools out of that region. They just can't have. They need to grab the highest property of that region, and that's North Carolina, and they're going for it. Does that answer? Does that help it?
Yeah, that makes total sense. I'm glad you explained it there. Sorry for the long question and everything.
Well, sorry for the long answer.
No. You did a great job of explaining. I just couldn't put market forces together versus now that, Big Ten offense, SEC playing defense. That makes total sense. So,
yeah.
Greg, you take care. Thanks a lot.
You got it, buddy. Appreciate it. Great call. PSU Nitwit, great call. I see something in the chat about Lincoln Riley. I don't see anything on X. So if somebody can give me a link to it, a DM, I'd be happy to look at it. I don't see anything about Lincoln Riley. If it's in the message boards, that's fine. I'm not going to really look at that now. Jamie Thornton, PSU Nitwit, and Greg, you two just nailed it. Great call, Nitwit. You sure the Big Ten Syndicate wants to make war with the SEC? I will say this. I know that Fox Sports and ESPN don't play kindly in the same sandbox. So when people talk about how ESPN and Fox are coordinating all this stuff, everything is settled, all the agreements are in place, Big Ten's going to get these schools, the SEC is going to get these schools. I push away from that. We are not saying that. Nothing is settled. Nothing is determined. Nada. Nothing. ESPN and Fox are not coordinating with each other when it comes to the ACC. It's just not how it works. I've been told this so many times, and no one needs it. That's not how it works. It is a war between SEC and Fox. So keep that in mind. Again, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Hit the subscribe button. Smash the like button if you like our content. It helps us with the algorithms of YouTube so very much. If you want to support the channel through a donation, hit the $, put a super chat up, and we'll get to it as fast as we can. On the show today, we gave an update. FSU Money Perch update. Both sides are digging in. Florida State wants to know on what authority did Jim Phillips do his action. I know he said it in his lawsuit. There's been some great comments in the comments section. Florida State, but they're not buying it. Number 2, Florida State expects Clemson to come around the corner and join them here in the next month. And Florida State's perception is whatever Florida State does and get accomplished, and if they get accomplished all the way through where they get a settlement, it's not going to be pass, go, collect $200. You're not going to be able to jump over half of the monopoly board. A Clemson, a North Carolina, a Miami of Florida, a Virginia, Virginia Tech, North Carolina State, whatever. You're not going to be able to belly up at the bar and say, can I have what Florida State is having? You can't tell the bartender, give me the same drink Florida State's getting. It's not going to work that way. According to what Florida State believes, their perception, that's another incentive on why Clemson's going to have to join the party. Because when they become available, if they can become available soon after Florida State or right with Florida State, it's going to give Clemson a leg up to be able to get into the SEC or the Big Ten. That's important for the conferences. If they're looking to expand, it's important that the schools, they're not going to get into big boy talk. They're not going to get into official talks with these schools without them first entangling themselves from the ACC grant of rights. And we have said that for 2 years here at Peek Around the Corner. That's just the way it is. Greg, do you think Oregon, USC, Washington are in better position to succeed in the Big Ten than Oregon and Texas are in the SEC? Wow, that is a great question. That is a great question, Hummus Hero. When it comes to the whole athletic department, when we're not talking about just football, if we're talking about the whole athletic department, I do believe that Oregon, USC, and Washington are in a better position, and UCLA, to succeed in the Big Ten than Oklahoma and Texas. When you bring in all the sports, I think they have a better chance of succeeding in the Big Ten. You're talking about baseball, you're talking about softball, you're talking about basketball, all of them, track and field. But when we're talking about football, I'm not able to really come up with, I don't think either Oklahoma, Texas, or the four former Pac-12 schools are in a better position to succeed. I think it's pretty close. But overall, the athletic departments, I think Oregon, USC, Washington, and UCLA are in a better position for the overall athletic department of Oklahoma and Texas. Does that make any sense? I hope it does, because that's my answer. The football part, you know what? We are going to revisit that question, Hummus Hero. We are going to revisit that question, let's say that 2 years from now. So remember, Hummus Hero, that great question, ask again, January 9th, 2026. We'll see what the answer is. Great question, though. I would like to hear your opinion, Hummus Hero, and other people in the chat on that great question. Cornelius Green, praise the Lord, Greg. Praise the Lord, Greg. Praise the Lord, Cornelius. Appreciate it. Cornelius believes Florida State's going to the Big Ten. I do not believe the Big Ten will take Virginia Tech and North Carolina State. I don't see that happening. I think North Carolina State and Virginia Tech's best chance to get to the SEC and the Big Ten is to go with their Virginia Tech to go with Virginia, North Carolina State to go with North Carolina. They get tied to the hip of those two schools. I don't think Big Ten would take Virginia Tech and North Carolina State. No offense to either one of those schools. It's just the Big Ten's going to take and the SEC does the same thing. They make sure they take the top brand. They take the biggest bite of the apple, wherever that orchard is located. It's why we don't believe the Big Ten is interested in Georgia Tech, or doesn't have that much interest in Georgia Tech. We could be wrong, but I don't see that scenario playing out, Jeff. I think Virginia, if Virginia Tech called me and if North Carolina State called me, I would say do whatever you can to fasten your hip to the other school in the state. By the way, Virginia Tech has basically done that. Virginia's going to have to work themselves out of being tied to the hip to Virginia Tech. North Carolina State has an opportunity to tie themselves to the hip of North Carolina if that October bill passes in the state of North Carolina. The Board of Governors, North Carolina, where it states, if that bill passes, that North Carolina, if they were going to change its conference affiliation, if they were going to change the conference affiliation in accordance to this bill, that they were going to have to go in front of the UNC system president, Peter Hans, and say, this is why we're doing it. This is the economic impact. This is the financial statements. This is how we're going to do it. And by the way, if the proposal passes, that UNC system president Peter Hans, he would be able to weigh into this. He would probably be the deciding factor. And Peter Hans, the UNC system chancellor, not the interim chancellor of North Carolina, but the system president, Peter Hans, he's the system president for 16 public schools in North Carolina. One of them being North Carolina. The other, another one of the 16, North Carolina State. So he has to oversee the interest of North Carolina State. So if that bill, that October bill proposal, if it passes, then North Carolina State has done even more, a better job of tying themselves to the hip of North Carolina. I happen to believe that's Virginia Tech's and North Carolina State's best opportunity to get in to the SEC or the Big Ten. Chris Hughes, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for your generosity. I appreciate it, sir. Could it be that all this consolidation will lead the super conferences breaking up like the Southern Conference did? It gave us the SEC and the ACC. Yes, it could. Yep, these larger and larger conferences, now you have a wider spectrum of interest within the conference, right? There is some commonality within the SEC. There is some commonality within the Big Ten. Even the Big 12, they're getting bigger. They could get a whole lot bigger if the ACC implodes. Could it break up? Could they fracture? We're definitely not going to discount it, especially if for whatever reason economic forces dictate that breaking up is going to be advantageous, especially for the bigger valued brand schools in those large conferences. It could happen. Now, if I were to predict, Chris, that the SEC is going to fracture, if the Big Ten is going to fracture, if they are, I don't think it's going to be until years and years out. But it could be. That could be the next realignment never sleeps, Chris. So great question. I definitely would not shut the door down on that possibility. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate your generosity. Thank you so very much. Phone lines are open, 763-260-1333. Phone lines are now open. You know, Pat Crow, unsubstantiated rumor that Cal and Stanford agreed to push AAU membership for North Carolina State if they voted yes. We just had an inclusion of a whole bunch of schools. What was like 5, 6 new AAU schools in the last go around? Miami, Florida, Notre Dame. I don't remember them all, but there was like 4, 5, 6, way more than historically there is when you add in new AAU schools. If you would have told me, Pat, or anybody else, Justin Lucas, if somebody would have said, Greg, there's going to be additions to the AAU, and there's going to be like 3, 4, possibly 5 additions. The day before it happened, I would have come on this YouTube channel and I would have said, no question about it, North Carolina State is going to be one of the AAU schools. North Carolina State has been rumored for at least the last 15 years. I want to say 2 decades. But they've been rumored for a long time to be in the next group of AAU schools. North Carolina State. Don't believe me? Google it. I mean, they were at one point they were listed like the favorite school to get into the AAU. I don't know what happened internally. I don't know if they did something like with a medical school. They put it off campus. I haven't really been paying attention. But it's not like NC State is so... Same thing with Virginia Tech, by the way. It's not like these schools, they have a lot of the metrics to fulfill to become an AAU member. But there's a lot of politics in that. Pat Crow's touching on it. Interesting. I don't think so, Joe. I don't think so. So Georgia Tech could be 21. I don't think so. Not for the Big Ten. I haven't heard, and when I've asked, I've been told no. We'll see how it plays out. But Georgia Tech is so great school, great location, but they are such a big drop from Georgia. Big Ten they don't go that way. They don't take... now, with Georgia Tech, could they be a possible great addition for the Big 12? Could Georgia Tech be the 20th school? The Big 12, if the ACC implodes, and you're looking at 4 possible schools for the Big 12 to add, Louisville, Pittsburgh. If Georgia Tech's got to be right there. Yeah, it's but I don't think they are possible. Is that what it is? Okay. North Carolina State does not have a med school. Virginia Tech has one, but it's off campus. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it. But Virginia Tech, for example, they do, at least the last time I looked at it, I haven't looked at it for the last couple of years, but it's probably still true. Virginia Tech has more research expenditure dollars than Virginia. Virginia Tech is a pretty decent sized research university. Well, there are AAU schools that just joined the Big 12, Justin. Utah, Arizona, Colorado. So I'm not sure why Pittsburgh's. Look, if the ACC implodes, if they lose their top 4 or 5 brands, I think Big 12. I think Pittsburgh to the Big 12 is an absolute no-brainer. Absolute no-brainer. Georgia Tech, Louisville's a no-brainer. If Louisville doesn't, Louisville's a no-brainer. But being AAU is not going to stop a school from going to the Big 12. Big 12 just added a bunch of AAU schools. Arizona State's AAU. Arizona State's the new AAU. Arizona's AAU. Colorado's AAU. Utah's AAU. And they all just joined the Big 12. I'm not sure why Pitt and Georgia Tech wouldn't do the same if that was their best landing spot. If the ACC implodes, Justin. We're talking about if the ACC implodes. Right? If they lose all their biggest brands and there is and they have an opportunity to join the Big 12, that might happen. The Big 12 would definitely target them. Now, the ACC might be able to rebound, even losing their top brands, but it would be something that Big 12 would target. Okay. Why would Louisville and Pitt throw away their ACC's auto bid to fight for one Big 12 auto bid? These presidents and athletic directors are not looking at where it is easier to win a conference championship and for an auto bid in regards to realignment. If that was the case, Oregon and Washington would not have gone to the Big 10. If that was the case, Texas and Oklahoma would not have called Greg Sankey. It's not easy to win the SEC. That isn't part of the criteria. The part of the criteria in realignment is to give your student athletes the best opportunity and your front porch of the university when it comes to money and exposure. To set your university up in the best way to go after not just student athletes, but students. It isn't about what is easier to get an automatic bid or a conference champion. That's never been a part of realignment. It's not going to be a part of the next realignment. It's just not how it works. Being a part of a conference that is going lower, being constantly poached, you're not going to stick in there if you're a brand, a school that's valued somewhere else, just because it's easier to win that championship after it's been gutted over and over again. Presidents, boosters, they don't look at it that way. That's just not part of their evaluation. It isn't. It's not even what they're talking about. If ACC gets gutted, the big brands leave. There's going to be, a staring match between what's left in the ACC, what the Big 12 has. And remember, the Big 12 has Fox in the corner and ESPN. The advantage that the ACC schools have that did not get poached, they have the ACC network. But then, Justin, you have to look at the advantage that the Big 12 has. It's not a Big 12 obsession. It's looking at the facts. That's why we got the whole Big 12, Pac-12 correct here at Peek Around the Corner. The idea that if the ACC gets poached big time, if it implodes, that the remaining ACC schools are going to sit there and stick together. Look, we just learned from the Florida State Board of Trustees. The bomb went off at the Board of Trustees. We learned that ESPN can decline, walk away from the contract starting in 2027, and they can make their decision in 2025. That's not solid ground. That's a conference that's ready to collapse if Florida State can entangle themselves. Big 12 doesn't have those issues. They're a conference until 2030, and then they're going to have a new media rights deal. Big 12 has the advantage over the ACC. It's not an obsession. It's just the lay of the land. Hopefully that helps. And it's okay if you disagree with me. I'm just look. No, everybody I've talked to, I did not know. Nobody else knew about ESPN being able to walk away in 2027, and they can make that decision in 2025. So Florida State, if they're able to entangle themselves, and then a Clemson, and then a Miami of Florida, a North Carolina, and the ACC schools, do you think ESPN is going to honor that contract? They're not. And then suddenly, Pittsburgh and Louisville are going to have to look at each other, Georgia Tech, and say, okay, we can keep this. We can keep this. We can go back on the market. We can make more than the Big 12. That's a possibility. But to dismiss the possibility entirely that the Big 12 could once again poach, this time from the ACC, that's not Big 12 obsession. That is looking at the lay of the land, looking at the history of all this. John Teal, thank you for your super chat. I appreciate it so very much. Staying in a bad conference because it's easy is a poverty mindset. You have to look at the big picture and the security that comes with it. And, the playoffs could expand to 16 teams in the future. So being part of a strong conference in where student athletes are going to get paid more and more money from the from the university. Remember, unlimited educational benefits. They're going to be talking about it tomorrow. The NCAA convention is tomorrow. There's going to be big news, potentially. Big news coming out of tomorrow. We're going to be doing a live show tomorrow at Peek Around the Corner covering that convention. One of the big news is that they could push forward to a June 25, 26, 27 vote, or not a vote, but they could push it to that meeting where these universities could be building up their big trust funds, one of those streams of revenue being media money to pay the student athletes. You're going to go, if you're a university, if you're an athletic director, if you're a head coach, you want to get to the highest ground possible. So to remain in a conference just because it's the easiest conference, you're gonna cause poverty to your own athletic department. Pretty soon you're gonna fall way, way behind. Great comment, John Teal. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Justin Lucas, ESPN is not hiring Jim Boeheim in the talent over the last month of the ACC network just to have it blow it up in 3 years. Just my opinion. Thanks for the comment, Justin. Jim Boeheim. Let me know how he's doing. I haven't watched the ACC network in a little bit. I haven't. Jim Boeheim, a legend. The man, the myth, the legend, Jim Boeheim. Syracuse Orange. Ba, 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 ba. Gary, Greg, I have another idea about the college football playoffs ESPN deal. Do you think Fox, NBC, and CBS has decided to spend their money on a realignment for now? I know there are people, talking about this. I would like this theory better if we knew, if Fox, NBC, CBS, if they had reasons to believe, and maybe they do, but if they knew that, if they had reasons to believe that Florida State, it was a good shot for them to get themselves entangled of the ACC gore. So for this theory to work, to have legs, Fox, NBC, and CBS would be sitting back going, Florida State's going to become available here. We know Florida State's going to become available. We're going to keep our money. Florida State's going to become available. We're going to go after North Carolina. We're going to get them part of the Fox Big Ten network. This is going to make us money. We're going to keep our money. But I don't know if they would act upon the assumption that Florida State has a good chance to entangle themselves. Is it a possibility, Gary? Yeah. I'm not going to put my chips on the middle of the table on that one. But I don't know, Gary. That's why I have no idea. Nothing makes sense to me in regards to the report yesterday of ESPN. We did an episode on it today. We took part of the monologue in the live show, talked about it, because I simply am confused. And you all are bringing me up great theories on it. Could be right, Gary. I just can't get my arms around it, though. But you could be right, Gary. You could be. Thanks for the great comment. Appreciate it. John Teal, Super Chat. If Pittsburgh, Louisville, Georgia Tech blink and they could jump by Oregon State, Washington, Stanford, Cal, CPAC versus Big 12 deal. That's another thing, too. Great comment, John. Thank you for the Super Chat. It's the prisoner dilemma. The pressure starts mounting. Colorado moved, and then now Arizona, right? Arizona, oh boy, if I don't get on that, if I don't get that landing spot. And then Arizona State was scrambling. Got to get on that Big 12 landing spot. And then Utah was always going to get a spot. But same thing here. ACC implodes. Louisville, Pittsburgh, if they have an opportunity, how are they going to be able to trust the guy next to them and say, are they going to stay in this reformed ACC? We might make the decision that's best for us, slightly better than going to the Big 12, but can we count on these other schools in the ACC? The other ones just knifed us. Are these guys going to knife us? We know the Big 12 is stable. Yeah, I think we'll move to the Big 12. Thank you, John. Appreciate Super Chat. Helmer Henderson. Sorry if already addressed. Clear conflict of interest to allow ESPN to own all playoff rights. How much of the SEC network, etc., does ESPN own? ESPN owns all of it. ESPN owns all of the SEC network. They own all of the ACC network. None of those ACC schools have any ownership of the network. None of the SEC schools have any ownership of the network. It's all owned by ESPN, by Disney. Fox Sports owns 61% of the Big Ten network. And then the other 39% is sliced out evenly to all the fully invested Big Ten schools and the Big Ten network. So there is 17 slices. 17 different parties own a slice of the 39%. Because UCLA and USC are going to be fully invested. Washington and Oregon did not get that deal. They're going to have to wait. And then the Big Ten network is the 17th slice. That's the difference. Great. Yeah, Helmer. I don't know about the legalities of the clear conflict of interest, but it stinks. Can't stand it. If this happens, I'm going to go on a 2-hour rant. I'm going to do a live show, and I'm going to give everybody a heads up. 2-hour rant. It's going to be horrific. Hopefully, either ESPN's report is not entirely accurate, or it's accurate, but something changes in midstream. I don't want ESPN to own all the rights. Terrible. Terrible. Thank you, Helmar, for the great, very generous super chat. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate it. Super chat, Helmer Henderson. Do you think the college football playoff is trying to increase total monies going to the playoff by leaking the upcoming deal? No, I don't. They would be motivated to do it if this was leaked anywhere else except for ESPN. I would buy into this, or I could buy into this. If, for example, if Ross Dellinger leaked this report that ESPN and the college football playoff managers were in the midst of negotiations, they're not finished yet, but they're getting there, where ESPN could be the sole rights holder for the next 8 years of the playoffs. If Yahoo Sports leaked that, or Action Network leaked that, or Dennis Dodd leaked that, I could buy into it. Because ESPN leaked it, they would have no reason to leak it if that was happening. You understand what I'm saying? It wouldn't make sense. ESPN would not want to have to bid against themselves. They wouldn't want it leaked that there might be swing in this deal for $1.3 billion. Although we were told that money figure in the article doesn't really, there's not a whole lot of value there. Ignore that part of the report. So I don't think so, Mr. Henderson. Great question. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Gary says, I enjoy the rant. Steven says, how is it terrible? For the same reason, it would be so much healthier for the college football world to have more than one media company distributing their playoff content. It's so much better for the NFL. The NFL has got multiple media companies distributing their playoffs, okay? And then those media companies have a history of distributing the playoffs. They get these big ratings. They make this big money. They charge advertisers big ad rates. And then when the next go around comes up where the NFL puts it out for bid, these companies are all interested again because they just made a bunch of money and they go at it again. It's competition, it's bidding. It's not about just this package. It's the next package after this. You get multiple media companies involved, get them making money, get a relationships with big national advertisers, everybody comes out ahead. Boom! The next media package, negotiations, Now there's a little bit more juice, a little bit more steam involved. For have it to be all ESPN again, I'm telling you, man, you're killing it. You're not getting the most out of this opportunity. That's one part of it. The other part of it, I don't want ESPN controlling the narrative of everything once again. I don't want Fox either to have the total control. I don't want NBC to have total control. I don't want NBC to have total control. I don't want anybody to have total control. This is, I think much of the college football world actually shares my opinion on this. And I don't understand. What I don't understand is, and I'm telling you, I'm being honest with all you. I'm being honest with all of you. I don't know what happened. Even when we poked in pride today, people don't know what happened. Just a little while ago, we had Jack Swarbrick and all the 10 FBS commissioners. They were all on the same page. We want multiple media companies involved in the bidding and involved in the distribution. What happened? What happened? Especially now that we're out of the exclusive negotiation window that ESPN had because they were the current media partner. We're out of that window, and suddenly we get a report like this. I don't have the answer. I don't. I wish I did. I searched it. I searched for it. Helmer Henderson, who sits on college football? You mean the playoff committee? The playoff, well, they have representatives, but basically it's the FBS conferences. 10 of them. Now it's going to be 9 of them. And Notre Dame. That's representatives of those conferences. Can the other conferences sue the college football? No, because I don't think so, Ryan. Thank you for the super chat, Helmer. Thank you for the super chat, Evil Badger, Ryan Willie. Thank you so much for your continued generosity, Mr. Willie. No, I don't think they can, because the college football playoff committee is the conference's creation. It's not the NCAA's creation. The playoffs are not run by the NCAA, not the FBS playoffs. It's run by the conference, the CFP selection, the managers. And that was created by the conferences. So I would say no. Ryan, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Appreciate it so very much. Helmer Henderson, ESPN is acting corruptly. If they are, somebody else is with them. ESPN cannot, I don't think they are in this case, because they would need another party to be corrupt with them. I mean, the ESPN doesn't have, as big as they are, as powerful as they are, as influential as they are, they don't have a magic wand saying, or they don't, I mean, unless they have like a hypnotist, right? They bring out a hypnotist in front of the college football playoff managers, and they hypnotize these guys and gals and say, look, ESPN will control all the rights, sole holder, all the rights. Once again, for they're not in the exclusive window. This should be a competitive bid. So what happened? Did Fox just say, nah, too rich for my blood? Amazon, nah, we're going to have to overpay for them to. even think of us, NBC, nah, we're out. We just took the Notre Dame deal. This was not what we were expecting. This is not what the reports were telling us. This is not who we were talking to told us. I'm hoping that the ESPN report isn't accurate. Or I'm hoping that it's accurate, but like everything else, things are fluid and things change midstream. Helmer Henderson, thank you once again for your super chat. I appreciate it. Could the Big Ten withdraw from the CFP, have its own playoffs? Sure, they could, but they won't. ESPN, SEC could do the same thing. In fact, Greg Sankey kind of mentioned it in public one time as a threat. This is the threat that the Big Ten and the SEC, they're not going to really have to say it out loud again, but this is the threat that they're going to use to push their agenda forward and when it comes to the other conferences. This is what the P2 is. Big Ten and the SEC pushing their influence and the threat of war, so to speak, to make the brinkmanship work is that they could go out and have their own playoffs. But in reality, they have no interest in doing that. They don't. So could they? Yes. Will they? No. Unless we have a whole bunch of dramatic stories leading up to that. At this point, I'm going to say confidently, no, not right now, Mr. Henderson. And I don't think it's happening in the future. Thank you so much for the super chat. Yeah, they can use the threat, and they will to a certain point, but I think that threat doesn't have complete power. They're good. They have the most marbles at the table. They're going to use them, but I don't think it's reality right now. Years down the road, maybe. But nobody, Greg Sankey, these guys are not interested in cutting playoff access to the Big 12, to the ACC. They're not even interested right now in cutting playoff access to the G5. They don't want any more lawsuits. Big Ten and the SEC, what they want is positioning, more teams in the playoffs, more money to the conference, maybe more distribution going to them in flat fees. That's what they want. They want to be able to push the rules. They want to be able to increase scholarships. They want to be able to increase coach numbers. They want to have communications in the helmets, ear sets. They want to push all these things. I don't think they want to cut off playoff access. Not now. Not now. And, but they'll use that influence, in my opinion. It could. Do you see us going to a 16-school playoff soon? It could happen. Now, I don't think it's not on the docket. It's not on the docket yet, right? I don't think they're looking at it for even, we don't know what 2026 is going to look like. We have no idea what it's going to look like. But you know what? We have the convention tomorrow, right? We have the big convention tomorrow where they're going to be talking about Charlie Baker's proposal, a couple proposals. So maybe we learn a little bit more this week. I see it going to 16. I love the 12, though. I'm going to love the 12. Eventually, it'll probably go to 16. Because the SEC is going to grow a little bit bigger. The Big Ten is going to grow a little bit bigger. The Big 12 is going to grow a little bit bigger, in my opinion. And that's going to push for a 16-school playoff. G5 is going to want to have their access. I think there's going to be the bowl system is starting to collapse. I think there's going to be money interested in a 16-team playoff. But again, I thought there was going to be a whole lot of money interested in a 12-team playoff. And again, if this ESPN report is true, only $1.3 billion, we'll see about it. I was told to ignore that dollar figure, so I'm going to ignore it for now. Are you against audio and helmets for conference play? No, I'm not. No, I'm not against audio and helmets at all. But it's got to be where every school's doing it in your conference, right? Every school has to be doing it. It has to be a conference. It has to be everybody's doing it. And I think we're heading that way. No question about it. I'm definitely not against it. There's no reason to be against it. It would help the quarterbacks. It would help everybody get ready for the NFL, for those who are going to the NFL to play on Sundays. Not just the quarterbacks, but all of them. I do not think we're getting rid of the conference championship games, though. Don't see that happening. I have no idea how. It's going to be difficult enough to try to figure out who exactly qualifies for these conference championship games. We're going to have tiebreakers without divisions. We're going to have all these tiebreakers. Can you imagine? Oh, who's our conference champion again? You know, if you don't have a conference championship game, the three teams that are tied at 9-0, because not everybody's playing everybody. But that's not even the biggest reason. The biggest reason is because the conferences own the conference championship game. They're the ones negotiating with their media partner. They make big bucks. They're making bigger bucks. And they're going to make even bigger bucks in the conference championship games, because the value of those games are going up, because it could land you a first round bye in the playoffs. And for the G5 schools, the value of those conference championship games, they're going up. They're going up because one of those schools in one of those 5 G5 championship games, one of those 10 schools are going to go to the 12-team playoffs. Though the value of those, people are going to be watching those games. Are you kidding me? We would have watched them this year. Tulane lost to SMU. That opened the door for Liberty. In my humble opinion, conference championship games are not going away for so many different reasons. That's just my very strongly held opinion. We're going to have some wild eight-way tiebreakers. Michigan versus the world. I agree. Why being a third seed in the SEC is best? You can get the bye by not playing in the conference championship. You cannot get a bye without being the conference champion. Right? You can be ranked number 2 in the country, but if you're not a conference champion by the end of the conference championship games, you're not getting a bye. That's what I like about the 12-team playoff. Notre Dame can never get a first-round bye. And they could, that team's going to be good next year. They could go 12-0, 11-1. They are stacked. But if they're finished number 2, number 3, number 4, number 1 by the end of the conference championship games, they're not getting a first-round bye because they're not a conference champion. The best that Notre Dame can be seeded in the playoffs for 2024, 2025, because we don't know what 2026 is going to look like. The best Notre Dame can be seeded is number 5. So no, being third in the SEC, being second, that doesn't get you You got to win your conference championship game. The 5th rated conference champion, which is primarily going to be a G5 school, not necessarily, but probably, that 5th top-ranked conference champion is going to get an automatic berth. But they're not going to be slotted necessarily number 5. They're probably going to be slotted number 12, depending on the final college football managers selection committee's rankings. I hope that explains it. The best spot is the 5th spot. And Jared Jones, right now, I am penciling in for the 5th spot. Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame, there's a good chance Notre Dame gets that 5th spot. If not Notre Dame, then an Alabama or the 2nd place team in the Big Ten, maybe the Buckeyes, maybe Michigan, maybe Oregon. We'll see. Again, if you're new to the channel, if you like our content, what we're delivering tonight, please smash the like button, subscribe to our channel, hit the subscribe button, and get yourself notified. Get yourself notified, notifications on, because we can come on live at any time. I appreciate all you coming in. If you want to support this channel through a donation, hit the $, make a comment. We'll get you a comment as soon as possible. Now, we do have a new college football's early peak membership. We have a new level, $4.99. We have a $5.99, $4.99. I'm directing everybody to the $4.99 level. We're going to drop that $5.99 level. We're cutting the price down $1. $4.99, Cloak and Dagger, early peak member. There's episodes that have been dropping that can continue to drop where you get the first drop of Cloak and Dagger information. The $4.99 level, we're going to do that because you're going to have the ability to give gift memberships to other people in the chat. We've had people saying we want to be able to do it, so we dropped it down to the $4.99 a month. College football's Cloak and Dagger early peak. If you're interested in becoming an early peak Cloak and Dagger member, hit the join button. Hit the join button and you'll be able to see the episodes membership only college football's early peak. Okay, let's get back to the comments. The phone lines are open. 763-260-1333, 763-260-1333. No, Joe, the playoff media deal for only 7 games. The first round games would belong to the respective home team network. That'd be all 11 games. That's what we were told. So, no, they would get all of it. All of it. No, you can't. You wouldn't know how many games. You couldn't do it that way. You wouldn't know how many games then each media partner would be getting. Whatever happens in these negotiations, these media companies are going to know exactly what game, what round game, how many games throughout the length of the deal. And in the world of first round games belong to the respective home team network. Plus, like the Big 12 has Fox and ESPN. West Virginia makes it in the first round. They got home field. What network you going to put it on? No, it's actually ESPN. If they're the sole rights holder, they're going to get 11 playoff games a year for 8 years. That's 88 games, playoff games on ESPN.
Call from
Jamie Thornton.
Jamie Thornton, Mrs. Razorback, the floor is yours. Can you hold on 1 second?
Absolutely, Greg.
I appreciate your patience, Helmer Henderson. Can a coach with no head coach experience succeed at a major program? Yes. Dabble Sweeney did. He didn't have a head coach experience, and he's had great success at Clemson. I'm going to answer yes on that, Henderson. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for your continued generosity, Mr. Henderson. I do appreciate it. Jamie, thank you for your patience. The floor is yours.
Well, I have to say it one more time because I probably won't say it anymore because the season is officially over now. But
yes.
For my wife, Mary, congratulations on the Huskies season. Go Huskies, even though they had a tough loss the other night.
Yeah,
but,
congratulations, Mary.
There you go.
There you go.
She's over here smiling. Yeah, there's nothing to hang your head about because they had I don't think anybody really predicted that they would be in that spot. So, and I'll tell you, they got a lot going for them. Washington and Oregon, all this is why this is the best show and the most fun because this has been actually probably my favorite episode because we're really digging into what this is all about, right? Like what the evolution of college football is changing. I think that was the new Washington AD actually that said that and talked about how you haven't seen anything yet. And it's true. We just, there's no way 10 years ago, 15 years ago, even when there's always been conference realignment, but things are different. The reason why there was conference realignment isn't the reason why it's happening now. And you said it. This all started, and they all started to see the writing on the wall when Texas and Oklahoma went to the SEC. Texas and Oklahoma, maybe Oklahoma's had some interest in the past, but Texas, they wanted to get into the Pac. They were very interested with them. I think they've had interest in the Big Ten before. And then, of course, UCLA and USC and the Big Ten, like, hey, all the talk after Texas and Oklahoma was like the SEC is in such a dominant position. What's going to happen now, right? Mm-hmm. And the Big Ten wasn't going to sit there and sit still. And I know you nailed it with Delaney talking about that, about what he wanted. He could see this happening. And I'm sure he's so excited now about what's going on and how it's becoming a national brand. But conference realignment, the point I'm trying to get to here is conference realignment isn't for the same reasons it used to be. And so now, there's no way anymore. I know it was fun. My uncle always talks about this. Like, my God, I love the days of college football where it was regional and, you could go with your team and Arkansas especially, you just drive down to Texas. You could go with your team to any road game in your car. Those days are gone. I mean, I'm just sorry. That's just the way it is. And so all these schools know the money that's on the line, especially with NIL now. Like you said, man, it is all about, being represented. You have to have your name up there and the money that it brings in. And these it's just going to get bigger. I mean, these media deals are going to get bigger, every one of them. These college football playoffs are going to bring in insane amounts of money. We go to 12. We go to possibly even 16, which that's another reason why I think eventually it will be 16. Mm-hmm. It's just too much money on the table for them not to take. Yeah. For these networks and everybody and the advertisers to fill them.
And the flip side of the coin, I think eventually that the players are going to get representation in a collective bargaining agreement because there's going to be there's going to be more games, and the people who are putting the money on the table, these media companies, they're going to want assurances that the star players are going to be playing in this game. So there's going to be contracts signed. There's going to be big money, balloon payments going to these student athletes. You know, if Arkansas goes to the college football playoffs, you have a star running back at Arkansas, everyone's going to want to make sure that that running back has all the incentive in the world, a contract, going to get a balloon payment at the end of the season, at the end of the playoffs. All that's going to have to be in contracts, and the student athletes are going to have to be represented. Anyways, I'm sorry to butt in, Jamie. Go ahead.
No, this is just Greg. This is why we call. This is why we chat.
Yeah.
Because exactly, all these points are so great, and we saw the beginning of why you're going to have that in the bowl season this year. I mean, we can talk about the Florida State-Georgia game and how awful, what a joke it was, to a very traditional great bowl game. I mean, the Orange Bowl has got great tradition. And for that game, I mean, you could even see it on Kirby Smart's face. That wasn't really a real win. I mean, you don't think he wouldn't have loved to have had, you know, all of his first-string guys and Florida State first-string guys and win by 3 over as opposed to what that was. I mean, he was the one after the game saying, we've got to do something about this because he knew. I mean, Georgia didn't even play a first-stringer in the second half, and it was still that bad. So, yeah, we've got to do something because what's going to happen with the bowl games, I think a lot of those for these top programs, they're going to have to go away. I mean, they might still play them in these facilities and stuff, but bowl games as we know it, because you're going to have to give some kind of incentive to make sure that the players show up. And I think you just nailed it. That's another thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be exciting to watch. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the ACC, because the problem for the ACC is this has gotten so big and where it's going that it's not like North Carolina, right, and Virginia, and these schools that have been in the ACC forever and love it. They can't afford to stay there anymore. It's almost like they don't have a choice. They know they're going to have to go. The ACC, Florida State's already making the move, and Clemson is right behind them. And they know. I mean, you could just see it in the votes with Stanford and Cal.
And you can see it in how quickly the ACC filed a complaint to the FSU, gave the ACC complaint to FSU 6 minutes after the Board of Trustees meeting was over. And, of course, the day before, they filed a lawsuit in the Mecklenburg courts. So, they all see it.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
They're not dumb. You know, they know what's going on here, and they know. They know they're even if their conference doesn't go away like the Pac, it's not going to be important. They're going to be another G5 conference. It's not really that, you know, that your conference winner might make the one spot in the playoffs or whatever they're going to have, but it's going to be irrelevant. And that's the point. Everything, it's relevancy. That's the key word there, because everyone knows for branding purposes, money with the NIL and everything, that's what it's all about now. And that's what people have to understand. It's why I can tell you this much from the SEC. You nailed it too right there when you were talking about that with the I love the guy, Penn State nitwit. These guys, they're looking at that. The SEC is looking at that like, hey, man, we have got to get – and like you said, too, before, I think you mentioned it, UNC has always been kind of like the SEC's Notre Dame, where they're very special and they've always wanted that program.
Yeah.
But they do not want the Big Ten. You know, this is the last chance to expand their footprint. The SEC is never going national. You know, all this talk with Oregon and Washington, you know, that was laughable. The SEC is never expanding out their footprint, and this is the last chance for them. And I think they would be happy at 16, but I think they will go to at least 18, if not 20. We'll see who they have to take along. I don't know if Virginia Tech, you know, I know that situation the way it is. A little bit different than Oklahoma and Texas, but I can tell you once they get them, they're done, and I really do see it at probably 20 and 20 for both. Could be wrong. Who knows what the final number will be? But this is all about. This is what it's all about. It comes down to the exposure and the money, and everybody sees where this is going. And man, we are definitely seeing the evolution in college football take place right now.
Yep.
So just appreciate it. Everybody have a happy 2024, and we'll just follow the ride and go along where it takes us.
You got it. Appreciate it, Jamie. Beautiful phone
yes,
call.
Sir.
Once again. by Mrs. Arkansas Razorback, Jamie Thornton. Thank you so very much. Do you see Utah and Arizona as the top 3 or 4 Big 12 teams going forward? I tell you what, man. I don't know about Arizona. I mean, Jed Fish is doing a great job. That Big 12 is going to be so competitive. I don't know if anyone's going to be able to stay up in the top 3 or 4 year in, year out, year in, year out. But I'm very interested in seeing Cameron Rising next year coming off that injury. And Fafita, the quarterback, Arizona. Wow, what a story. I love watching that dude play. Holy smokes. Not very tall, but man, he is a player. He's going to give you everything he's got. And you can see him leading that Arizona team. Week in, week out, week in, week out. They never lost hope, the Wildcats, Arizona. Look, people love that quarterback. I mean, there is a reason right now why everybody's picking Arizona. Not everybody. Not quite me yet. But a lot of other people are picking Arizona over Utah to win the Big 12 next year. Arizona was number 11th in the way too early ESPN rankings. I think there was 11. Could have been 9, but I think it was 11. In the Action Network, way too early, Arizona was number 8. There's a lot of love being poured on the Arizona Wildcats. And that quarterback, people are saying that he's Arizona's, he's the new Johnny Manziel. I think he's Doug Flutie. Fafita. There's magic there. I think he's Doug Flutie. Boston College. Maybe you guys think I'm crazy. But, there's a lot of love for him and Arizona. Big story next year. Big story. Arizona, USC battling up. Oklahoma State's going to be in there. West Virginia, if Garrett Green can increase his completion percentage 53%, something like 58%, if he can just get to the next level with that young quarterback they got there, average over 8 yards per rush, if they really get him going, they're still going to have a decent offensive line. They're picking up guys in the portal, secondary. West Virginia could be in that battle too. I think Kansas, they're going to be in there. There's 5 teams. I just named off 5. I have no idea. Greg the Heater does not want to ruin any. I don't want to. We're going to have the whole spring and summer is going to be prediction paradise. We're going to call it prediction paradise. How about that? Prediction paradise. Doug Flutie. Fafita, Flutie. They both start with the letter F. Flugar, Fafita, Flutie. There it is, right there. There's a lot of love for Arizona going into next year. And everybody knows that Jed Fish is a serious head coach. A serious guy, right? Anyways, I think we're going to shut us down. We've been on the air for 2 hours and 45 minutes. 2 hours and 45 minutes. Talking about, we've talked about a lot of football. FSU, Florida State, Money Perch. If you just joined us, go back and watch the beginning of the show in the monologue. New information. Some of it confirmed, some of it doubled down, but new information from the Florida State Money Perch, who's been nailing this story from the beginning. So make sure you watch the start of this live show. And then we talked about the ESPN, the media rights for the college football playoffs. And we've been talking about Arizona. We talk about everything here at College Football's Peek Around the Corner. So before you leave, if you haven't done so yet, please hit the subscribe button. Make sure you are notified because we could come up live 2 hours from now. If there's breaking story, if it's a huge breaking story, we're going to be here live. So make sure you get yourself notified. Notifications have got to be on. They have to be on. And I want to make sure you smash the like button if you like our content. If you did not like our content tonight, if you think we did a poor job, hit the thumbs down button and then let me know in the chat or on Twitter, on X, at Flug Empire. You see it at the ticker on the bottom of the screen. Make sure you let me know how we can better serve you, the college football lover, consumer. Thank you for letting us know what we can do to improve the show. Look, tomorrow's a big day. John Teal, Colorado win the Big 12 next year. Thank you for the super chat, John. I appreciate it. Shador Sanders coming back. Hunter coming back. We'll see what happens. Thank you for the super chat, John. Thank you for your continued generosity. Look, tomorrow's a big day. It could be a big day. If we find out there's more support, gathering support, people lathering up on their support of those big Charlie Baker's proposal, tomorrow could be a big day. So we're going to be doing a live show sometime during the day. See when we get the information. So buckle up, brace for impact. The next PATC live show is just right around the corner. If you haven't done so, check out episode 355 and 356 that we already dropped earlier today. Until next time, from all of us at PATC, to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.